What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Clash of Clubs. I'm Dylan. They just got punched in the mouth. They didn't even know how to react.
That is one Derby Diamond.
I'm Mila. Do we want to do a little predicky? That was the last time they showed initiative to go get a fucking player.
City are still alive here. Balotelli, Aguero.
I'm Grant. They're talking a lot about you 15. How will you respond 15?
We downgraded from Peppa. Do you know how absurd that is?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's match day.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Clash of Clubs, episode 69. C.O.C has officially hit the 69th episode. That is fitting. I'm Dylan alongside Mila and Grant as always. Plug. All the types of plugs. 69 plug. Social media plug. Subscriber plug. We are the best, so follow us. We're on the road to 100 subscribers, currently at 76. So, please, I don't ask for a lot.
Please.
Predicky counter. Grant and me got 2 correct results. Mila got 1 correct result. No predickies. A lot of close again, but nothing. 6-7 for you guys, and then 11 for me. This is a great intro from me today. Really
All
on.
right, Dylan, what
really on my game. Anyways, let's jump into today's episode, which will include United drawing against Forest 2-2, then a preview for United versus Spurs at the weekend. We'll then talk about Chelsea's win over Spurs at 3 Point Lane, and then we will talk about City and how they thumped Bournemouth 3-1, and then their weekend matchup against Liverpool, which I'm hoping ends in a bloodbath where City wins by like 8. It'd be really great. Alrighty, I get to start today's wonderful episode off with the 5 things. So here are my 5 things from United versus Forest 2-2. I was in Mexico and I was struggling to watch it, so I didn't get like the full picture of the game, but I got most of it. And I'll start at number 1 with Uncle Casemiro. We'll talk about him in a little bit. I think that he is up there as United's most important player this season. We've been really good when he plays. I can't imagine where we would be without him. We were saying who's going to step up since United didn't get a midfielder. It's been him. He's been immense. And where he was a couple of years ago to now, shout out to Uncle Cass. We'll talk about him more later. Number 2, another talking point that we'll get into as a group. Dalot sucks, and I think that his inclusion into the team is just mind-boggling to me. I know that the stats of him and Ahmed as the wing-back pairing has been good for this season, but he has been bad in all the games. And for him to get beat on a play where he's just not paying attention for the second goal after we just conceded is just mind-boggling to me. He's just been poor, and I know it's a leadership thing. I'm assuming that's why he's out there. Maybe more concerning that my stock player for United, Dorgu, hasn't been playing. I just don't know why he can't get minutes if Dalot's going to be bad both defensively and offensively. If, the main reason he's in the team is defense. Lesson 3, levels. United are a team that's going to go like this all year, right? We talked about it. But if they can be at a floor where they're picking up draws away from home, which nobody in the Prem has been good away from home except for, I think, Spurs and Arsenal. I think everybody else is like 500 or worse away from home. Then United will be in a pretty good spot. And challenging for Europe is obviously the goal for the season. If you were thinking anything else, then you were probably a little nuts. But if you can be a team that picks up points at a difficult away end, even when you're not playing at your best, that's super important. And I think that just shows kind of where United's level's at. I don't think we're going to rip off like 7-8 game winning streaks. That's just not going to happen. But if you can pick up 3 wins and then a draw, I'm not going to be too mad. And overall, I wasn't that disappointed with the result. For the subs, like I just feel like Amorim doesn't feel like he has options off the bench. I'm super curious to see how he evolves and figures out how to get Mainu into the team. But like Mount didn't come off the bench, and I'm not sure if he's hurt. But none of the forward players outside of Ahmed were very good in this match. And for them not to see C.O.C or Mainu is a little puzzling to me. And Dalot being the main sub, him coming off for Dorgu is, I'm just stuck with the idea of like, are they just not deemed good enough? Obviously with the United only playing once a week. Like, you don't have to be that deep. So we'll see how that evolves as the season goes on. And then 5, I heard a coach say this on a TikTok, and so I thought it was really interesting. And he said that there's 3 ways of playing. You can play over, you can play around, or you can play through. And those are the 3 tactical evolutions of a team. A good team can do all 3. And I think like a team like Chelsea and City, Arsenal, and Liverpool to a certain extent can do all 3. United right now in their current state and under Amorim can do 2 of those things well to above average, and 1 they can't do at all. They can play around teams through Mbumo and Ahmed and Cunha. They can play over teams like they have done over this stretch of good games where you're going into C.O.C or the forward players, but they can't play through teams. I thought that this game was actually the best they've looked going through teams towards the end of the second half, which is ultimately up to Bruno Fernandes. And he was so good in this game. He's just been really good in general. But the evolution of this team will have to come at a point where teams like Forest will try to match United physically. And this was the first game where United, I thought, got beat in that sense. And so for Amorim, it's about finding ways to play through teams and going through the middle a little more. And I think that there could be a tactical evolution where essentially you play a 3-5-2 instead of a 3-4-3. And that puts Mainu in the middle of the field with Casemiro and Bruno. But those are my 5 things. Let's jump into Uncle Cass, because I think he's been probably United's most underrated player. I haven't used him as a 5 things main point, really. And I think he deserves some spotlight. So I'll toss it over to you guys to talk about Uncle Cass.
I don't have a lot to say. I do feel like I've touched on it a little bit. It seems like cutting the weight has been a huge factor for him. We kind of jokingly pointed it out in the preseason going into the early season, but now like you can clearly see it helps. He looks refreshed, like you were saying. He looks like the old Casemiro. Shouldn't expect this for long, given the age, but
Right.
putting in a shift for the time that you have him and to be that stopgap for an extra season or 2 that you probably thought he was going to be. I think that's a pretty good pickup for United, and he's serving you guys well.
Yeah, I was under the impression he was never as washed as he was made out to be. I do think at the end of that Ten Hag's last full season, he looked horrific, as did most of the team. We've had so many conversations about United's midfield. Dylan brought up a good point too. They can't play through teams, whether that's personnel, whether that's tactics. I think it's a combination of everything. Essentially, they're asking him to do way too much or way more than he's capable of at the current physical state, right? Because I think he puts in a shift, he still looks class, and then towards the end of the game, you sub him off because that's what it is. That's his age. That's the game. So I think he's just being better utilized at this point. Whether you want to say that's managed better, but I think that plays a big part into the success. I think Bruno deserves kudos too, because I still don't think that's really the best role to maximize what Bruno can do for a team, but I still think he's looked very good. So I think that says a lot about him as a player and a character to really make that sacrifice, because Bruno and Casemiro, 2 very good players. We do not think ball retention when we think either of those guys. So to try and adapt and make this thing work, I think it speaks to the character of those 2 in particular. But yeah, what do you think, Dylan? Do you think it was just losing the weight? Like, what's the
I think that
even out?
I think Amorim gets some credit for this, because the weight aspect is obviously important, him just being healthier, because he wasn't he didn't look physically healthy in that last season. But I also think that Amorim's covering for his weaknesses. Over this stretch of games, we haven't talked about United's midfield being an issue. We've talked about some defenders. We've talked about Dalot or them not being clinical, but nothing has been like United's midfield has been an issue. And I think that largely comes down to them just kind of covering for some of those weaknesses, right? Like Shaw joining the midfield, or the high press, or just going long in general. Like, they're just protecting Casemiro, because United can't play through teams. Because look, if you were to ask him to be a tempo engine as that 6, it's not going to work. Like, he'll gas by the 45th. But the fact that he went a full 90 in this match really shows a lot to me. It shows that Amorim's evolving a little bit with the midfield, and he's evolving as a player. Like, him and Bruno get tons of credit for totally changing the way that they play, because they don't like the hold the ball. They want to
No.
be aggressive and play diagonals. But to be fair, like, United play a lot of diagonals, and they've been able to beat teams going over the top. So I think it's just them being healthier and also just being comfortable with the idea that maybe we're not going to be great at going through teams until we get another 6, but with Casemiro, we can be really good in this way of playing.
Do what you
So-
can with what you have. Yeah, I think he's starting to maximize. And again, we always have this conversation of they can't even maximize with this formation. We can't get into that, but I'm saying in terms of how Amorim likes to play 3-4-3, all that, he is starting to maximize what he has in the squad. I still do think Dalot is a big hole there, like you said. And you also brought up a good point with Dorgu not getting that shine. I know we can get into that later, but there's still a lot of things that need to be addressed, right? I know you mentioned 3-5-2. I think that would make sense, but I just don't have the faith that he would even dare to change the formation. Yeah, I mean, Lammens looked human, but again, fine. Like, you didn't expect this guy to be prime regen Manuel Neuer.
Neither of the goals that he conceded were his fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like no stretch. Yeah, I don't think the attack was too bad as well.
They were wasteful.
Too bad. For sure.
They were wasteful, right? And they weren't at their best, but when you've put enough attacking output out there, it'll ultimately work. It's really interesting. And we can kind of switch to the wingback stuff, because probably Ahmed deserves some praise too. And I didn't add him in the 5 things just because he's been good consistently. But when you play one player that's that forward thinking, right? Like, Ahmed's job is to be a winger. And the goal of having a Diego Dalot is to be more defensive. I almost think it's hindering United to a certain extent, because he's not doing either thing well. And I'd much rather them just be overly offensive, right? Because they're going to concede goals. They just haven't proven that they can be a clean sheet machine by any means. So why not just be more forward thinking, be more physical, and play Dorgu? I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that.
I think you mentioned it, or like, is he that raw, right? Is he really that not ready? Because when you see Dalot, it's the same mistakes defensively, whether it's letting a guy ghost in on the back post and you're just falling asleep, or you're just not tracking runners. Like, it's the same problems with him. And that's when I would, again, to your point, go, yeah, it's the safer option, but he's not even safe anymore. Like, there is no point, I don't think. And it's a tough one, because Dalot was the player of the year for you guys. Again, it was a tough year, but he was really good. It's gone. I haven't seen it in a long time from him in terms of stringing together some solid performances. And I agree. I do think it's time. Like, yeah, give the 20-year-old a chance. I mean, I don't see the point in playing Dalot anymore. I don't think it adds anything, to the point that Dorgu, yeah, he'll make mistakes, but it's not like Dalot won't make those mistakes. It's not like he's this surefire, safe option. So I'm all in for that, Dylan. Let's get those stocks up.
I feel like Dorgu's looked at his best when he's played with Cunha, and the games that he's looked bad is with Mount. And so it's interesting that he hasn't been given another opportunity to prove that he can play with Cunha, because honestly, they match each other really well, because Cunha just draws so much attention. But you're right, Dorgu's draw and his final output hasn't been great. But I look at Dalot every single game and I go, this guy's got horse brain. Like, he just doesn't do anything right, unfortunately. And that just comes down to his positioning. And he's also playing on the wrong side. It's a weird, clunky fit.
Yeah, that's another one, like with the back 5, where you have the 2 fullbacks next to each other, then the 2 center backs next to each other. I mean, that's a small thing, but just a balance to me, like, that just kind of seems weird. It does feel like he's being shoehorned in. And, like, I think back to the Sporting teams, like, Quenda played wingback for them. He is a winger. Ahmad, who's starting to look better, because I don't think he's at his best to start this season. I expect more from him, but he's starting to get there, in my opinion. He's a winger. So, like, that is what Amorim wants. To your point, if we have 2 overly attacking guys, well, with Cunha and Bumo, Šeško, I think all clicking, along with those 2 fully committing to attacks, yes, they will concede. Maybe that's another thing that they need to wait on the midfield to get solidified for. But at this point, I do not see what Dalot is adding, because there's nothing safe on either end from him. The deliveries are still comically bad on occasion. He cuts in just like Cunha wants to do, occupies his spaces. I don't think he adds anything.
Yeah, there's a lot of diminishing returns with Diego Dalot. Like every game. He may do one thing really well, but most of the time it's poor.
Hey, he's got
Mila,
a cool celebration, Dylan.
I guess.
I don't think
Mila,
it's
do
cool.
you have any
I'm kidding.
do you have any thoughts on what United should do with that left wing back position?
I think the point that he was player of the season is an interesting one, and that it could just be credit in the bank type of thing. And let him use up that credit, and if he doesn't perform, he doesn't perform. It makes it easier to get rid of him. I don't think it's the end of the world for you guys, especially since you're not really challenging. But I do think at a certain point, he'll just lose a spot if he continues to play the way he's playing.
Yeah,
I thought
it'll
he
be
did a
interesting.
job against Liverpool, but
Yeah.
outside of that, he hasn't been great. And I think the idea on paper is that he'll just be okay. But like you said, if he's a detriment in both attack and defense, you might as well try the other guy, right?
That's my thought process. It sucks, and it's going to suck if United. They're going to have to probably go back in the market for a left wing back, right? That was kind of my point on why I thought they should have just sold Dalot in the summer. Was you could have brought in another left wing back or a right wing back that could be more specialized and grow with Dorgu or be in front of Dorgu. And now you're stuck at this spot where people are really going to get. They're going to question Dorgu, and I don't think that's fair because he's 20, right? And he's playing in this new league in a new system, coming from a team that was literally relegation fodder twice. So United's main points of emphasis in January are going to be left wing back probably in that 6th position. And we didn't talk about him, but Elliot Anderson, he might be it. He might be worth whatever the price tag is.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Baleba at that point. I don't see the point.
Apparently they want
cash for
80
him.
for him, and if it's between Baleba currently and Anderson currently, I don't think United plus him being English would go with Baleba. Feels like look. They're both good players. I wouldn't be angry if we got either of them, but it's funny how far Baleba has fallen off when the pressure got to this point, right? Where Elliot Anderson has played this well with the pressure and is doing it now. For
Adam Morton's better than both.
I do like
Adam
Adam
Morton.
Morton.
Made it very clear that he wanted to leave to you guys over the summer, and the thing just got sour over there, and it's clearly affected his play. But I wouldn't read too much into that if I was United's scouting team. We've seen what he can do and what impact he has for that Brighton team when he is going. And to add that person, I don't think you should look at the guy that's playing right now. He's clearly checked out of Brighton.
I don't know. It's tough because if he wanted to move, you'd think he would just at least he would have played well in the game against us, the audition game. But he was poor in that one too. So I have some slight concerns.
You guys to get points.
That's a good point. Maybe he's just trying to lower his price tag so we can get him for cheaper. Alrighty, let's wrap up the United seg. I hope it's the right possibility. Let's wrap this up with United versus Spurs. Let's do it real quickly. We know what Spurs are. Grant's going to talk a little more about them later. So I don't want to dive into it too deep, but they're fucking boring. Like, they're super boring to watch.
Is it at Old Trafford?
I actually don't know.
How dare you not know? It's pretty important information, Dylan.
Oh, it's at 4:30.
We got an extra hour. You'll be all right.
I'm already going to be adjusted by that point.
Nope. Don't adjust.
Why can't I see where this game is at?
It's at Tottenham.
Yeah, there you go. So again, United haven't been good on the road. No team has, but Spurs have been awful at home. So it's just a matchup perfect nightmare. Like, United make a lot of teams look good offensively. Spurs look awful offensively. And United are bad away from home, and Spurs are bad at home. So it's a weird. Oh, and it's also the Amorim Frank stuff. obviously they beat us in the Europa League, so United should come out with some aggression, some anger.
It should be a comical fixture. That's what this should be.
Yeah. I the post game
with Spence
scenes,
Yeah.
I think indicate where that locker room is going. Maybe an overreaction from their players, but
yeah.
It's interesting to see the players act like that before the fans do. I feel like I'd expect it from the fans first.
The fans seem pretty short-tempered as well, to be fair.
Yeah, but I think the players are more in telling what's going on behind closed doors. And going into a fixture like this at home again with that pressure, and it's clearly crumbling. I don't see United having a problem in this game, but you never know.
Yeah, it might be, and I hate saying this because I was pretty high on him, but it very well could be similar to a Potter situation where it's a really smart coach who's very adaptable, able to bring through a lot of players and prop them up for a big team to pluck them off. But when it comes to personality, that's a whole other thing that you have to handle. And as we all know, as soon as you hit one bad patch, the spotlights turn incredibly bright. There's tons of media pressure. You'll be getting hounded for interviews if you manage certain clubs. Like, it's a madness. So it very well could end up being something like that. I think with Tottenham, I was just thinking about it today, and the same concerns I had at the beginning where I really like a lot of their players. I don't know where they're going to play them. I feel like that's what's happening because Kudus, he was lively to start the season, but now he's just incredibly isolated on the wing. You double team and there's nothing he can do. Up top, you have Richarlison, Tell, Kolo Muani, all nothing options to me. Brennan Johnson, Odebear. Again, I'm sure I'm missing some guys, but they're really missing X factor. Xavi Simons has not lived up to expectations. So Frank has gone to a really resolute defense and an incredibly negative double pivot. You have Polina with, again, we know exactly what he is, a destroyer, and Bentancur, who doesn't progress the ball either. It's starting to look a bit messy because, again, we thought of him as this very adaptable manager, and he's gotten what seems to be comfortable with just this very negative double pivot and just sit back.
I just don't think he has options. Like the fact that he didn't start their marquee signing, and then their marquee signing came on and looked as poor as he did. Him and Wirtz are having the same level of like they just can't meet the physicality of the league. They're they look slow.
Dude, Reece James threw him off the ball like 3 different times.
Yeah, he looked awful.
Threw him off the ball,
and then he hooked him. I think
German league.
But like, there's German league guys that have looked decent. Like Sesko's looked decent.
All the City recruits.
Oh, I guess.
Right, they've looked. Even Gittins has shown flashes. Those two have not shown anything. In Simmons, in particular,
he's reeking of João Felix, where it's just the aesthetic, where it's like, oh, it looks nice, but as soon as there's sort of pressure on him, he's getting whacked off the ball. Like he's got nothing there.
His partners in crime are also Kudus and fucking Kolo Muani. Kolo Muani wanted to beat Juventus, and Kudus is exactly the player that we've talked about. Dribbles a lot. Him and Garnacho are so similar. Just run around, do a bunch of.
I cannot believe I'm about to defend a Tottenham player over a Chelsea player, but my thought was Kudus. I think
lines.
Correct, and that's him playing out wide. I think he's better playing inside, but either way, we haven't seen that, and he's not a creator that a Kulusevski or a Madison would be in a 10. He's more of the half space, carrying the ball, chaos. Like he's not a creative player. To that point, I do think he's being isolated out there, and it's really easy to just lock him up. I think Cucurella also did a really good job of that on the weekend, but yeah, he has not lived up to it either, bar some flashes. I'll give you that.
We'll now jump over to Chelsea, and we can talk about it more, but they're just B-Tech Arsenal to me. They do everything so similar to Arsenal in the sense of they want to be sound defensively, and they will only score off set pieces. They have no other way of scoring that way.
Yes,
but it's to a worse degree. So let's jump over to Chelsea.
Do we need to do the prediction? Do we do the prediction?
Let's do a prediction.
Yeah.
We can't keep clean sheets, so I can't.
No. This game's gonna be a disaster. 3-2 Tottenham. I've picked United to lose like every single time,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to not pick them to lose, and then they actually lose. I'm in too deep, but yeah, we'll go 3-2 Tottenham.
Mila.
I'm predicting the United clean sheet
Daria.
and utter Tottenham destruction. Not destruction, but crumbling. 2-0.
I'm gonna go 2-1. But I don't think I'm hoping it's not
Not a
close. I
close
don't
one?
think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be 2-1.
Well, we had a
maybe
1-0 that
2-2.
wasn't close.
Yeah, that's the vibe that I'm getting.
You guys were
Alright.
wasteful. Very
They were wasteful.
Let's talk about
We're
it.
about to talk about it.
Grant, Chelsea's 5 things from their 1-0 win over Spurs.
Oh man, where do I start, Dylan? I'll tell you where I'm going to start. Health. Fitness. I find it very important. Fofana was fantastic in this game for me. He stood out defensively. I've been harping on the issues in the back. We've not seen the best of him yet at the club due to fitness issues. If we can get him on whatever program we got Reece on, perfect. We got to do that. I thought Reece was fantastic as well. And I thought Lavia closing the game, just seeing Lavia, Caicedo, Enzo, Reece, just all of these guys on the pitch, like I felt incredibly safe. Second thing, I thought the midfield was fantastic. Caicedo was everywhere again, creates the goal on his own. A bit of a kind of sums everything up to me, that quick play where Caicedo wins the ball back and then Neto immediately just gives it back to them. And then literally everyone on the field is just kind of watching, and Caicedo just goes and pounces on it. So again, it's creating through irregular avenues, right? It's not a beautiful sequence of passing. We're able to find the cap off the move. We're kind of scrapping it right now, whether it's a set piece or whether it's a goal like this. But again, Caicedo was unbelievable. And I thought Enzo Fernandez had a really good performance too. Spoken a few times, he needs to be held to a really high standard because that's the quality this player has, and I thought he showed it against Tottenham. It wasn't, maybe if you weren't watching close, it wasn't something that you would be all over, but for me, just in tight areas and pressure, a lot of the times he ends up on the ball, and whether he has to hold on to it long enough, keep the play going, he always made the right decision. I thought a lot of his passes were fantastic as well, forward thinking. Just really good execution from him. He looked focused. So I was really happy with the midfield performance there. Reece again in midfield was fantastic. I was glad it was not Gusto. I would love to see more midfielders playing in midfield, but again, I was just harping on fitness. So take however much time you need, Lavia. We need you fit. Number 3, Joao Pedro was much better in that game. That was night and day from what we've seen from him really the past 6 weeks to me. Much more lively. I think originally I was sold, not necessarily sold, but more convinced that he was better off in the 10 in those spaces, but maybe the fitness was that big of an issue. He rested midweek, and again, he just looked like a completely different player to me. Just the willingness to run in behind, taking shots. He wasn't doing that. So that's something maybe that's too optimistic. Maybe he's still better is better served in the pockets in the 10, but I thought he showed really well as a 9. Needs to convert a lot more of those chances, but given what we were seeing from him the past month or so, I'm just glad we're seeing this type of play from him, a lot less passive. Fourth thing, I have been really critical of our defending on set pieces throughout the year, and Robert Sanchez single-handedly shut that down for Spurs. I mean, that was really my only worry, and throughout the game, I think we picked up on it pretty quickly. That was their only chance of scoring. They had no threat in open play, and Robert Sanchez's cross-claiming was fantastic. He made the one save he was asked to make throughout the 90 minutes, but some of those claims were amazing. And again, I was his loudest critic, so I'm going to be just as loud with the praise. I think he's been fantastic. So long may that continue to lock in, stay focused, Bob. But yeah, he's been unbelievable. I really can't believe it. After what I saw for probably a year and a half, maybe a little, not as long, he was horrific. So I mean, this turnaround in form, we've seen it with guys in the squad like Cucurella, but that shows a lot of character as well. So again, all the praise deserves to go to Bob. I do have to bring up one negative, unfortunately, and my fifth and final point. Our wingers kind of stunk again. The Neto Garnacho combo is one of those where when I see the lineup come out, I check it and I'm like, my head just goes down a little bit more. Like, I understand the concept of having that type of winger in your squad by all means. Like the Neto, the worker, I love that shit. But to have both of them at the same time, to me, feels very redundant. They're both very isolated. And typically, you know what they're going to try and do with the ball at their feet. And I thought in 5 minutes Esteval played, he showed more quality. Gittins missed a huge chance at the end, but even still, he showed quality when he came on, taking down a crossfield switch, really simple touch, playing good passes in behind. I think we need to start seeing more of that wing pairing. But again, it's a long season, so I'm not going to throw a big fuss about it right now. But I do not want to see that winger pairing in the league, really ever. But hopefully sooner rather than later we start to tweak that.
Yeah. Health is wealth. That was the main point you wanted to bring up. So I'll let you pose whatever question or whatever point you want to do, and then we can kind of have that discussion about it.
Nah, let's just go to the next one. No.
Just go to the next game.
Yeah. So again, I think I look at this team with a magnifying glass, obviously, but I noticed these holes in the squad. And then when you start to see these guys come back, like Lavia's, Fofana's, and I think Reese has kind of gone to a different category. He's been fit for a while now, which is fantastic. But
yep.
I think Colwell's now in that conversation because he's been gone, but we almost forget what they're capable of. We just kind of throw them into this big lump of Chelsea have a ton of young, high potential players. We need to see if they'll pan out. I think some of these guys have separated themselves from that group, whether that's what we've seen in this shirt or just the quality in general. I would put Lavia in that category. When he's been fit for us, I think he's shown absolute levels. To have him next to Caicedo is really just a cheat code and build up. Just them being able to receive the ball with tons of pressure on them, being able to turn a guy, just having that quality, the physicality. And then Wesley Fofana, I mean, he has been injured probably 70% of the games we've played since we've signed him. Again, not his fault, but man, every time he seems to get a run of games, we look significantly better, man. Like, I thought about it last year, right before we really crashed out and went from almost title contending to scraping Champions League spots. Wesley Fofana was starting every week, and Lavia and Caicedo was the double pivot. So, when we have these players available, it really allows us to step up the levels. I think similar to kind of how we were just talking about United, there's guys in that squad that don't seem to be trusted. Whether or not we know that, just given the manager's choices, it doesn't seem to be that way. And I think last year we definitely saw that in the Chelsea squad. A lot of guys that weren't trusted, a lot of them left in January, others played Conference League. But man, if we can get Lavia to stay fit, Fofana to stay fit, I really do think we will see a much more consistent product with this team. And not to say the results. Results, I still think it's not going to be smooth sailing this year by any stretch. But in terms of the product and the performances that we're seeing, I think we'll have a much better understanding of what this team's about, what this group is about. I really do think that just put these motherfuckers on ice, bro. Just put them on ice.
Mila,
And we can do great things.
About which part of that?
Any of it. Go ahead and tackle it, and then we'll go in that direction.
I think it is a big thing, and I think it kind of just is what Chelsea is about right now, the past couple of years. It's fortunate now that Reece James has found some health, but that this is the exact same thing we were saying for years, is that if Reece James could be healthy for a little bit, then Chelsea would be so much better.
It's been a year.
That is the case. That's been the case. He's been back for a year now, and you guys have looked better for it. But I do feel like this is a repeat thing where you guys are stockpiling these guys that are very John Stones-esque, where like yes, they're really good when they do play, but they don't play that often.
Crazy
You-
accurate, bro. That's
you
the
can't
vibes I
have
get with
too much of
Lavia.
that in your team. It's fine to have one or two of those in the team. Or one honestly is probably preferred. Two of them, and then being like pivotal depth pieces, it's tough. So you hopefully they're gonna solve it for your sake, but it's hard to solve that. You might have
It's
to
something they
replace it.
harp on so much. Like Maresca's always talking about managing these guys. Look what we've done with Reese. Like, I guess the reason I'm so loud with it is because there's been an approach to we need to keep these guys fit. We need to ease them back into the team. Like, there's a very intentional approach to make sure that they stay fit. And I think I'm starting to see why he's harping on it so much. Like, even just with Colwell being out, we've pretty much left that strict or rigid back three and build up because we do not have a player of Colwell's quality to be able to just break lines through the middle the way he did. So to me, and then also in the defense, Chalobah, and honestly, I'm starting to, man, this one hurts, but I'm starting to think Tosin's on a similar plane with Trev in the sense of if you put an A side center back next to him, he will be fine. We cannot have those two next to each other. And Fofana, and I honestly think Josh too, are both capable of being the A side center back. Like they have shown the capabilities to carry that level of center back with them for a 90 minutes. So I need either West to stay fit in the back, Josh to get more chances. Has to be one of them next to a Trev or a Tosin because, again, I think you guys have seen it. Trev Tosin as our center back pairing, that will not get us where we need to be.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know how to feel about Fofana because I feel like the games I've seen him in is always out of necessity, and it's always against pretty poor sides. Like Spurs didn't offer anything, so I can't take anything from this game other than the fact that he had a clean sheet. But
Well, he
I
had a
don't
really
think-
good game. Let's pull it up.
Well,
Because
he had a good-
aerially, I
he
had a
a
big
good-
issue.
He had a good game against one of the worst offensive sides that I've seen this season. Is what I'm trying to say. And
Does he not
Lavia,
get credit for that?
no, he does to a certain extent. I just don't know if it's the same level of like I don't know still, and that's the issue.
Sure.
Is he hasn't put together a string of
We haven't
games
seen
for me
enough.
to be like,
You're not
yeah, well,
convinced.
no crap. He's that dude still. Lavia is an interesting one because I think he gets put in spots to be successful, right? Like that's the part of the injury thing. And that's why I have the question marks is like he came on in a game where you guys dominated the whole game in the 76th minute. Like that's great if he can
Oh
stay
yeah, he
healthy,
wasn't
but-
crazy impactful in this game today. I mean, in that run form last year, he was starting. He took Enzo out of the team, who's
right.
captained us to big games. So I think he's capable just based off that.
I'm not questioning his capabilities. It's just one, where does he fit into this side? Because I just don't know. I just don't know where he fits when it all is fit.
Double
healthy,
pivot with
like-
Moy.
Where are you putting Enzo? If I am basing this off the idea that I think that Lavia is going to be healthy if he gets
Yeah,
healthy
he
at
won't.
the same time as Palmer, right?
And
And
I
then
think-
like that just throws things off a little bit.
I think it's a problem to look at it in the sense of who is going into the 11. That's not the way I'm looking at this team. I'm looking at this team, and also to your point that you just mentioned, Lavia is never going to be we're playing him 3 times a week, 90 minutes. It's never going to happen. Caicedo, we're starting to see the repercussions of it. We've finally been able to give him somewhat of a breather, and he's right back to looking like himself. I think there's a time and place for all of these guys to play. I think Lavia, Caicedo, and a double pivot's fantastic. I think Lavia with Enzo next to him and Enzo pushing up, that's going to work. Because, again, none of these guys are going to be available every week. That is the reality that we live in with 60-plus games every year. So I think he's just fine. I think he finds a spot in this team. And I really just want to see Fofana-Colwell pairing, and I won't get that till next year, even if I'm lucky if I get it next year, because we know with the history of Fofana, too, he's not going to be fit for portions. So it is a shame, but to Mila's point made earlier, this isn't new about Wesley Fofana. When we bought him, people knew that injuries was a big thing. Lavia is actually crazy because I believe he played the most minutes out of anyone in his age group his last year at Southampton. So maybe that plays a part. But yeah, man, I even a guy like Pedro Neto, we don't talk about. He was notoriously injury prone, and he's
been somewhat
he hasn't
healthy.
even picked up a knock
been
for
healthy.
us. He
Yeah.
hasn't even picked up a knock. So I guess I got faith in these guys. Discipline. We didn't get a red card.
Yeah, you guys didn't get a red card. That is good.
You know what? I'm glad I said that. Bentancur, I have no idea how he stayed on the pitch.
I
Oh
also
my
have
God.
no idea how Enzo Fernandez stayed on the pitch either. Like that was
Yes, that
an
one-
awful refereeing display. An awful refereeing display.
Bentancur, if I'm saying Bentancur should have been sent off on that precedent, Enzo's in the second half.
Right.
probably
So
should have
like
been
it
sent off
ended
too.
up being a wash, but it still changes the game. Which
Well,
is
the
awful.
Bentancur one was way
genuinely
more
have
dangerous.
I genuinely have no idea
Like,
how it did how
The
it got checked.
Bentancur one was way more dangerous, but the Enzo one was just as much of a yellow, or I'm sorry, a red. And if we're talking high boot studs up,
The one thing I want to talk about with the injuries, and it's the one thing that I can't get my mind around, is why, and you said it, like that front three playing in this game is probably the most wasteful front three in the entire league. They had 9 total shots, they scored 1. And Garnacho hasn't actually been taking that many shots. Like Neto's been super wasteful.
But the thing is,
but why isn't Estevao playing?
He's
That's
18
my
years
question.
old. I think he's trying to be protected. That's the only thing I can wrap my head around. Because
he got
in the
5
minutes we see of him, he was quality.
Yeah, that's
he
why I'm
played
saying
in a
like
ball
he
outside of
can't
his
play,
foot, in
he
behind.
couldn't have got a 30-minute cameo. I understand
Yeah,
protecting players. He is a level above, and we've all talked about that. He wasn't going to get like torn to shreds. Like he's shown that he can stand physically. Like
I did really want him to start because, and I think Spence got humbled to an extent, like when the ball got taken off him like 3 times for the goal. But man, Estevao would have done some really bad things to him, in my opinion. But yeah, I think with Garnacho, and I've been a bit of a culprit where it's like, oh well, he's not doing too bad. But as soon as we start saying that, that's a problem. I do not think he is a bad player. In fact, he's better than I thought he would be. I think that speaks more on my preconception of him before he came here. But it's just not much. He's not adding a ton. It's not as dynamic. Or like, Gittins is trying to do something. Garnacho, to me, kind of plays it safe. He'll rip the shot. He'll beat his man, put a ball across. But for the most part, it's nothing that's going to light the world on fire. And Neto's a very similar situation. João Pedro was definitely wasteful today. I wouldn't consider him wasteful. I would consider him, if anything, his biggest critique could be passive, where he doesn't take shots. And I think a problem with that, when you look at this front three, he goes, oh, I need to be the scorer. I need to be that type of player. When in reality, that's not the type of player he is. So I think he gets caught in 2 minds. That's what I think the issue with him is. He's thinking, oh, I gotta provide. And then I'm not squaring it to him.
But is that like in a perfect world, right? You have Cole Palmer, you have Estevao playing. He's still gonna be that scorer role, is he not?
I think players of that level are just on the same wavelength. They can hoop, as we like to say. These guys can't hoop. Neto and Garnacho are not hoopers. Maybe that's a bad analogy.
No,
I just think he has to try harder to make it work. And I think he gets caught in this mind of, oh, well, I need to do this. And he stretches himself too thin in that sense. So maybe that's some high level copium, but could you imagine like Palmer, Steve, Caicedo, Lavia, reset right back? Oh man, see, like
it won a Club World Cup. It won a Club World Cup, but it's just the question of, are we going to see that anytime soon? I am no longer at a point where I'm sure.
I hope so.
I want to see Estevao play. I want to see Estevao play.
There. I think once he starts playing, we don't turn back. Because as soon as he starts getting a consistent run of games, people will be like, oh, okay. That's what I think is going to happen. So he's trying to ease him in before that point of no return comes.
Whatever. It's lame. He should play. Mila.
Agreed.
Man City beat Bournemouth 3-1.
Ooh.
Your 5 things.
Yeah. Always going to start with Holland until he stops. Not so much that he's good. I think we got that by now. We've learned that. But more so that he's still improving day in, day out. And I think the main play that sparked that in my mind is that hold-up play on the outlet from the corner. He just held up the ball from the defender, then did a cheeky little scoop turn past him and was off. it's the little things like that. He just needs to keep getting better at that, and then there's no doubt that he'll be the best striker that we've ever seen. I think he's already unstoppable the way he is, and he's working hard to improve. And I think that's the best part about him. Second, 2.0 continues to grow into his role, and the first goal, very Rodri-esque, gave me little flashbacks to what we used to see Rodri do at his peak before the injury. Just a little dink ball over the midfield into Cherokee head, and then fair play to Cherokee. He did a great assist to get him there, but it's just the little things like that. He's able to do the defensive stuff, the offensive stuff, the deep balls, the deep playmaking that Rodri can do, and he hasn't been here that long, and it's just impressive to me how he's able to do this so quickly before he's even had like time to find his footing at the team. So yeah, we're gonna keep an eye on him. You guys know that. Cherokee, he was great. Love to see him starting. Played on the false winger, but he has the vision for sure, and that's one thing I think we all knew. But I think it's becoming a little more clear that he needs to slow it down at times. It's not so much the giveaways when he's trying a pass through that bother me. It's the little dink giveaways where he's trying to do a knock through someone's legs or a spin pass in the middle of the park that I'm just wondering why. I'm gonna chalk it down to nerves, and I'm guessing that Pep Guardiola is gonna hammer that out of him as he should. So I'm not too worried about it, but it is something I've been picking up on. Fourth thing, Savio, no good. He's he's been not very good since the whole fiasco with the Tottenham transfer, and I think he's just stalking his price at this point, and we look like the big losers in all of this. And I know I harped on it last 5 things, but it's becoming more clear as the weeks go on and the more he plays that we probably should have cashed in on that. The last thing, I'm just gonna use defense as the 5th thing because I think everyone back there should be talked about in some way or another. Nico O'Reilly's locked down the left back, and I know we've talked about that a little bit, but I know he's going to find it really hard to get back in this team. Just the size that O'Reilly offers, the strength, the bravery in the tackles and 50-50s, and then his eye for pass and goal is just super impressive from a young player. I think his crossing is the main thing that sticks out to me because every time he does get a cross opportunity, he does seem to find a way to go over the defenders right to Haaland's head, and either it's on point or it's a little out of reach, but Haaland has the skill to reach that. And then Guardiola needs to play center back. There's no reason for anyone else to be playing that left center back as long as Guardiola's fit. He looked immense there. He had one tackle that was just ridiculous that kept us in the game on one of their counterattacks. And then Diaz has looked refreshed. I think it's a defensive thing as a whole, and a lot of that can be down to Donnarumma, giving them a little confidence. But guys like Diaz, guys like Nunes look like completely different players from last season. And that's only going to help us going forward. So, yeah.
Before we talk about Cherokee, shout out Tyler Adams. I think that was his first Prem goal.
Yeah, he's been scored in 4 years in the Prem.
USA. I love Tyler Adams, so I had to get my prop in before we actually talk about Cherokee.
Of course.
I thought that was your guys' best forward play this season. It was, I mean, outside of the Wolves game, which I don't know if I should chalk up as anything.
Yeah.
Bournemouth have been really, really good this season. So to do that against that Bournemouth side, especially against Senesi, and I thought Cherokee was the reason why. I know that you were saying some of the reasons why, like he's more of a flair player, right? Trying to go for the megs and stuff. And I know that you were saying that Pep's going to drill that out of him. I kind of hope he doesn't.
not drill out the flair, but more so just teach him
the
the right
awareness.
times to do it.
Yeah.
Because there were times where he's trying to do a no-look pass in the middle of the pitch, where all you have to do is
Time and
open
place.
up your hips and pass it 5 yards to your center mid, and then get the ball back, because they will give it back to you. They trust him.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I think this is all things that are going to come in time. I don't think it's like Pep's going to be like, no more flair. But it's also going to be like, he needs to learn how to play with these guys, and he already has kind of this built-in connection with Foden, with Holland, and it's just going to take a little bit of time to find that with the rest of the team. But right now, I think he's just doing too much. He's trying to impress, trying to win those minutes, and that led to maybe 5 or 6 turnovers that, regardless of the ones where he tries to play someone through, that shouldn't have happened. Those were needless turnovers. It's the best way to put them.
That's fair.
I think that was my main gripe.
I thought Nico was also really important in terms of how they were able to score goals, and I've been pretty critical of your comps, Mila. So I was locked in on his performance in particular. Like, okay, let me see what he's about. Bro, I'm pretty sure it was the first goal, but under tons of pressure, just seemed really calm on it. Finds the pass, and boom, you're in. And I was talking about it when we were watching that game. I was like, why is there so much space in behind? Bournemouth press really high. They do it all the time. Semenyo had that interview this week. Oh, what does the coach tell you? Run. Right? So, like, that's the philosophy. Part of the reason there was that much space is because their press usually works. But again, guys that are press resistant in that phase, as soon as he gets the ball to a Cherki just has to look up. To Mila's point of, why are we spinning? Why are we doing this? Just look up. He's right there. He's in. And I think that was the first goal. I mean, it just seems so straightforward. So, yeah, I think Cherki, yes, that is something that you kind of need to harness, I guess. Because, I mean, even with Esteval, I guess a similar type of player who loves the flair. His first start against West Ham, he tries a back heel in his own half. They scored off of it. So, yeah, for me, it's a time and place. I did have that worry similar to how people talk about Grealish's time at City, how you kind of take that out of the Maverick. You don't want to do that. I think there's a fine line to where you can adapt your game to the Prem and still be as effective. And I think he's quickly beating the allegations of aesthetic merchant, fat, whatever people are trying to say. I think he'll be just fine. To Mila's point, give him a little bit of time. I think he's played, maybe 5 games with these guys.
It's his second start.
Yeah. He played a bit in the summer,
League.
but yeah, in terms of, he's barely played, and he's already got 2 assists in that second start. He'll be fine.
This is a player that I've been super high on for a long time, even with the allegations of him being a bad locker room presence and stuff. I watched him play and I went, no, this guy's legit.
Yeah.
I don't know
the
where
Hazard
cosign.
The Hazard cosign was enough for me.
It must have just been the fact that
Dribblers Award.
He's Algerian. Like, that's really where I think it comes down to.
It had to be tanking the price just to get him out of Lyon.
Well, Lyon was in his position where they couldn't have got money anyways. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's just a phenomenal footballer, and I think if you guys have a chance of catching up to Arsenal and taking their place, he's going to be the reason why. That's why I entitled this Cherki X Factor, because as soon as he can lock up the right wing position for you guys, him next to Foden is, it's low-key life-changing, because if you can get Holland in behind, like, he's the best transitional player I think I've ever watched. Cherki made it look easy finding him there, and nobody's made it look easy.
Cherki's range of pass plus Holland's ability to stretch defenses that inherently is going to open up Foden's favorite pockets to turn, rip, or turn, pass, continue the move. And yeah, I think we are ahead of the curve. I think we're all kind of on the same. I think Foden is probably, unfortunately, breakout really just means goals, assists, but I think we can be ahead of that Foden curve in terms of breakout. I think probably by New Year he'll be ripping. Like I think Cherki plays a big part in that. Oh no, I'm not expecting it, but I'm just saying when I'm watching his performances, I'm like, oh, he's looking much more like the player 23, 24. Maybe he's not going to end up with 20, 30 goals, but he's right there.
The impressive thing with him is that he's still pretty young. He's accomplished so much, and he's played in like a multitude of positions and roles at a pretty high level. And I think we're seeing what all of that adds up to in this 8 role that he's adapting to. And this is kind of what Pep's been talking about since he was 19 years
You were
old.
talking about this when we were in college.
Exactly. But where do you think I get that from? It's listening to the bald man. He's seen this for a time, and this has been probably one of his more long-term projects with this club, is getting Foden to this level and being able to play this role of an 8. If you look at the running, I sent you guys that stat of just running. He's like 5th in all of the Premier League. For a guy that was playing a false 9, a 10, or a right wing, that's not something you're expecting when or I think that was in Europe. That wasn't even in the Premier League.
I mean, the sensei's
yeah.
teaching him everything he knows. He's got the Nard dog
Exactly.
right next to him.
Yeah. And I think this evolution of Foden is also just huge for the way that our team can set up. Like you're saying, yeah, if Cherky can play right wing for us, he can lock that down. He doesn't have to play right wing. When Foden's doing this 8 role so well, if you throw Rodri in this team, he gets up to speed. Nico G continues to play the way he's playing. You could play Foden at the 8 next to them. Throw Cherky in the middle and then just wreak havoc. It just depends on the team. And I think that's the main thing right now is we have an arsenal of weapons. And we are using them based on the matchup that we have coming up, which is like obviously, but most teams don't have this luxury to be able to change a lineup like that. Reinders barely played in this game. We saw
We're trying to
Rodri
do it,
and
Mila.
Nico G play a little bit, 3-4 minutes, but they played together. Aitnori played a left wing for a little bit.
Hype.
We have options all over the pitch, and some of my favorite teams growing up watching City have been these teams where maybe a player of the season candidate was just left on the bench for a couple teams in a row, that being like a Mahrez. Just because Asane is keeping him out the squad. And I think I'm going to see a lot of that this season. I think Rodri won't have to play as much because Nico G's lifting a lot of that load. But certainly, like the other guys, Foden in the 8 is huge to all of this, I think.
Yeah, he's been lights out. It'll be interesting to see if he can add the goals or where the goals will come from outside of Holland. Obviously, that stat is still growing. Like it's Holland at 50 billion and then everyone else at 1 and own goal at 2. Who knows? Maybe it's Nico O'Reilly that'll be the other
That
goal
was a
out.
good shout, by the way, on his crossing, Mila. That was the one thing I was going to mention with him. I forgot when it was in the game. It was probably the first half, but there was one where the ball gets played to him and he just looks up once and then just floats it right onto Holland's head. I think Holland put it over the bar, but for a player who's never played left back to be able to have that understanding in a part of the field he really doesn't operate in. Oh yeah, let me just put that right on Holland's dome. Like I think that's been really impressive, and it shows just really the levels of the academy. Unfortunately, I mean there's way too much
the
evidence.
Academy, yeah, for sure. But I think to just his credit, his mentality is a huge reason why he's making strides with this team. Yeah, he's big and strong, but he's a young kid. He's fearless going into these tackles. Just some of the matchups that he's had to come up against, like he's doing a great job. And I know we talked about him a lot last year.
You won.
But yeah, I think we all win. Everybody wins.
That pipeline of midfielders going to play like fullback positions, like Lewis Skelly did, like that is a huge asset to their game.
It used to be failed wingers.
Yeah,
and now we're just moving midfielders, and it's been throughout
different reasons.
It's just
yes.
And
it's been across Europe, really. I mean, Konrad Leimer's been playing right back at Bayern for like 2 years.
Yeah.
He's a midfielder. Lewis Hall, I remember he was with us. He came up as a midfielder. We threw him left back. He's never played another position since. Like that is almost the new trajectory of fullbacks. But
yeah,
very interesting trend.
The only team that's doing it in reverse is Chelsea. and they're playing fullbacks in the
Yeah.
midfield. That's the
Yeah,
only team that's
bro, we
doing
need
it in
to
reverse.
stop.
Everybody else is yeah.
You know what? To be fair, I could be wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, I feel like Maresca was the first manager to put the fullback as 10s, like in those half spaces. We didn't see it as much. It was typically inverting into the 6.
I'm gonna
But
guess
to
that
I
was
watched Greg
probably
Vanny do it. I watched Greg Vanny do it before Maresca.
yeah. I was
When-
gonna say I think Guardiola was picking up spaces like that last year too, wasn't he?
Picking up spaces, but
Guardiola
to-
was the left
when
winger
we-
last year.
Yeah,
And
that's a
left
good
yeah,
point.
right. I'm talking about like I remember we did it last year when Lavia was fit. We played the double pivot and we put the fullback literally as the 10 next to Palmer.
I
Maresca
just
setting trends.
assume
I
because
heart
he's a
bold.
ball disciple, he probably got it from Pep.
Yeah, it's a fair assumption.
The only time I've seen that be like executed and utilized that heavily and obviously though is with the Galaxy.
Yeah, the Galaxy do that a ton.
Yamane, we
Tight.
talked about it on our other podcast for episodes at a time. It's just Yamane was playing the 10. He wasn't.
By the
even
way,
on
let me
in
be
line.
on the record and saying I'm not a huge fan of Gusto in those positions, but yeah.
Fair.
If they can
Started
get the
it.
job done, yeah, it's fine. They do it. For
Depends on the
a
game, yeah.
or two, but you don't want that to be the permanent.
That shouldn't be a constant. No.
If it was
Yeah.
Reese and his hamstring issues didn't exist, I'd be a huge fan.
Fair. Before we jump into the biggest match of the weekend, Chelsea play Wolves. We need a predicky. I'm gonna go 3-1 because of new manager bounce. So they'll get that extra.
We're
the
at
goal.
home, yeah.
Their goal is their new manager bounce
Hmm.
because I think they're awful. So 3-1.
You saw who they might hire, Dylan.
I know. Ten Hag versus Amorim in the early parts of December. Come on.
Please. Dog, are we at home?
Probably. I don't know.
You say 3-1?
It's a very important part of my decision, Dylan. Yeah, we're at home.
3-1.
Against Wolves at home.
4-1.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you both are on
Yeah, we're
4-1.
sticking with it.
I think so.
Should-
Yeah.
Should we
Come
just
on,
all
Grant.
wait?
No, you can't change.
Okay. All right. Fine. I was
No,
gonna
I'm
say
sticking to it.
flag-
No, I want to stick to it.
No, Dylan
No,
wanted to change.
I
Dylan
wanted to change to 4-1 to just be a part of the group, but
He'll probably fucking hit the 3-1, and we'll miss a penalty as the last
Yeah,
kick of the game.
Grant and I will be just screaming.
and I'll just be yeah. Anyways, biggest match of the weekend. Maybe doing a watch along for it. Manchester City play Liverpool in
Yes.
a game that I think ultimately decides title run type of potential,
For
right?
us?
Like for both teams. Like if Liverpool loses, they are officially out of the race. Not that they aren't already to me, but they are officially out of the race.
Yeah.
For City, if you lose this game, it is a huge step back, and Arsenal take a huge step forward unless they lose, right? But to drop that many points, it is Arsenal. They can potentially be Arsenal. But to go back 10 points or whatever it is, that 4 losses on the year already, these are the games you have to win if you are City or Liverpool. Like they have to win. I'm interested to see what Liverpool do midweek. They play Madrid tomorrow. It could get really fucking dicey for them. It already is, but they could be like 6 out of 7 losses in a row.
Just on that midweek fixture and the recent statements from Mr. Slot,
Loser.
they're screwed. According to him, they're screwed. We were just talking about it. My team has depth. My team can adjust to what's in front of us.
They're fried.
And it's a work in progress, but we have options. According to this guy who just spent record
430
fucking
million.
fees, $500 million if you want to change the currencies around. And he doesn't have options. He's got no depth and he's screwed. So they should just chalk it up. They should put their hands up and just put their feet up and enjoy the show because your manager has no hope.
Yeah.
And he
And
just he broke the record twice.
yeah.
Twice.
He fielded a team that was missing its right back and its goalie this week, but he has no options. That won the league, but he's got no options. These dudes are such losers. They're such losers. Like I'm gonna say some outlandish shit when we get to our predicky because I'm hoping.
No.
that it goes-
Save it for the live.
No, the live will be me celebrating. I know I've already seen the future. I already know what's going to happen. I'm going to say some
okay.
outlandish shit here to say from my Ricky, but genuinely, I look at that team and I just think that they're garbage. Aston Villa gave them that match. Like Emi Martinez handed it to him on a silver platter. They are garbage. They're going to play Real Madrid midweek. Trent's return. They're going to get smacked up. Then they're going to have to play City in a game where they're already deflated as hell. And they're playing the most informed striker, and they look awful defensively.
In a team that doesn't have structure. They have no structure, let's be honest. If they
Nope.
want to slow down the game, they have no control over that. That's up to us.
Yep.
If they want to prove me wrong over the weekend, that's fine. I hope that doesn't happen. But
I think losing Trent plays a huge part into that. I kind of talked about it to where he's that outlet when you're getting pressed high. He can find a pass first time, something wicked. And they're missing that. They have 3 center backs, Joe Gomez along with the starting 2. Robertson's starting to look better, but again, says a lot about the new signing. I think they asked too much of him too quickly is what it's starting to look like. Both fullbacks, right back, Frimpong and Bradley, I don't think they've lived up to it in terms of replacing Trent in the aggregate. Frimpong's had his injury issues. I think Chilwell might have given Connor Bradley his career. If he got a new contract and got those wages up, he's got to send half of that to Strasbourg because, yeah, I'm pretty sure he had a brace against us or a goal and 2 assists, whatever. And yeah, he ran Chilwell wild. He looked like an unbelievable attacking threat. I don't think I've seen any of that from him. And yeah, the mid, kind of what I was saying about Tottenham, they've tried to force guys into the lineup to where the synergy, it's not there anymore. Like when you shoehorn certain guys in, Salah, yeah, of course Salah's playing right wing. When he's on the touchline at his age and this state of his career, he's not going to be effective. I think we can all come to that conclusion. So they're compromising what made them successful last year, which was Salah, and trying to fit everybody else in. And that's going to take time for them to adjust. And we're seeing what this adjustment looks like. They're struggling. Is it too far gone for this year? It very well could be. I just don't think there's one team as of right now to really just stake that claim. I think Arsenal have looked very good to start the year, but history tells us something else. So we do need to see more before really locking that in, at least for me. But man, it's looking so dicey. Villa have been so up and down. It's hard to really take too much away. To Dylan's point, Emi had a fucking stinker. Yeah, I think City will have their way in this game. What you said, Mila, if they want to control the game, if they want to slow it down, they're capable of doing that. I don't think Liverpool can make City do what they want to do. So, yeah, not looking good, Reds. I'm sorry.
I think in our last fixture, the fixtures from last year, a big part of it and a big part of their title charge was that midfield, like you were talking about. It's kind of unstoppable. And I think we talked about Newcastle being like the only one that could really physically keep up with them. We have a hole in the midfield. And I think we're definitely going to be able to keep up with it, if not outwork them, be more physical than them. Like, I'm pretty confident in this game. Most time when we play Liverpool, I'm not uber confident. But they don't scare me right now.
I think that midfield's just tired. I think they're tired,
they
man.
Can be tired.
They got ran into the ground, in my opinion, because again, they didn't really have cover, and I still don't think they have adequate cover. Right, Gravenberch, like McAllister can do the job as a 6. I don't think they want to be starting Endo in 2025. Szoboszlai's probably been their player of the season so far, and he's played multiple positions already. Right back, he's played in the pivot, he's played as the 10. So yeah, I think McAllister's looked miles off of the form he was on last year. I think these guys got ran into the ground, but again, it harps on the point earlier if there's no one else to play there. Those were the only guys that could do the job, and they're human. You're not going to be able to play 90 minutes 3 times a week or however long these guys have been playing 90 minutes. But yeah, whatever the reason may be, it's not the same.
No, look, this is at the Etihad. They've been awful They've been awful away from home. Like, look, that Villa game just doesn't do it for me because I don't rate them like that. But I mean, look, they were 1-3 away from home. They conceded 9 goals in 5 games so far this season away from home. I think City and Holland in particular are going to unleash some episode 69 level pain.
We don't like them.
No.
I don't think it's as bad as with Arsenal right now, but from a club sense and the team sense, you could tell that there's something to prove when they go out on that pitch. So I don't think it'll be let's just fight to squeeze one by here. I think they're going to go out there to try to dominate that game, get one over on them. They are the champions. They should know what it's like to have that target on your back that we've had for years on end. And we've talked about on here, it's not easy to keep a title. They kind of need to know that. I think they got a little carried away preseason transfer talk. So I'm hoping that City go out there and humble them a little bit.
Yeah. They punked you guys last season too. I'm fully expecting, similar to the way that United and the Spurs talk went for that. Like, they beat you guys twice 2-0. So for you guys, there's got to be some bad taste in your mouth. They just took your guys' trophy. Go out there and just unleash pain. In the form of Erling Haaland, the Joker.
Oh yeah.
He's the best. That robot celebration, by the way, I don't need to talk about. We don't need to talk about what City are going to do tactically. We've watched your 5 things could have been the same 5 things like 7 weeks in a row, so we kind of know what's going to happen.
He's been working hard to make sure that's not the case, Dylan.
Yeah,
because it is a very difficult task. To your point,
it is a very.
I think the
task.
only thing will be Cherky that's changed up. If we see him start against Liverpool, it's a good sign for him, his trajectory. And then also we're going to see some swag against a defense that I don't think can really defend. So, yeah.
All right. Is it time for predickies?
I think so.
4-1 City.
Oh.
I had 4-2.
Oh, look at us go.
I had 4-0.
I think Haaland gets a hat trick too. If I get that, I get extra brownies.
That's why I had it at 5-2, but then I was like, fuck, they can't score 2 other goals at all.
Haaland is scoring a hat trick. And I'm very scared to see what his celebration is going to be.
So we all have 4 goals for Man City. Nice.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? That's a better prediction than Haaland scoring a hat trick. Who scores the 4th for City?
Foden. That was a big game.
Haaland, just because Haaland scores a hat trick does not mean he didn't score the 4th goal.
That's a really good point.
No, I could definitely see like a Guardiola goal. Just a mean corner goal.
Gavardi goal.
Who hates in the current team outside of Haaland? Who hates Liverpool the most? Who's gotten into fights? Doku kicked McAllister, and it's in the thumbnel, in the chest last year.
That was fuck off.
That wasn't intentional. Rúben Diaz, maybe.
I gotta hope.
Yeah, honestly, a Diaz goal is a good shout.
Diaz goal would be cool.
Definitely I don't think he'll get a goal though, but he'll definitely have some mean tackle, some dark art.
To leave his mark on the game.
I don't know if you saw his little dark art shoulder barge into Krupi, but it made me really excited as a defender.
Fair.
Krupi's just running and he goes.
I really like Krupi, by the way.
Is that only because you have him on
didn't score against us?
No, I just think that he's actually pretty good. I don't know how they did. Is he a academy guy?
He's from Lorient, who is also owned by Bournemouth, multi-club model.
Well, I think he's pretty good. Anyways, that has nothing to do with anything. But
Poopy,
we're here.
Poopy.
Anyways, so United's gonna win. Chelsea's gonna win. City's gonna do unthinkable things.
Happy pod.
Happy.
Who do you guys got? Who do you guys got in midweek, Mila? We have Karabag.
They have Borussia Dortmund.
Which should
we got to go to Azerbaijan. Can't wait to watch
Buonanotte. He should score 12.
Yeah.
Against this old club, he should get 12 goals.
Mbappe and Holland doing a double penetration on
Liverpool in 1 week.
Liverpool. I could be a very happy gentleman by the end of the week. That's for sure. It's like my soft level porn.
I think I might just be wearing my Holland jersey all week. It's feeling like one of those weeks.
You might be.
Or I'll walk around with the bobblehead all day.
Just
That's valid.
Cool. Well, were we good to wrap it up? Hour 15, another very positive episode of Clash of Clubs.
Woo.
But anyways,
International break coming up.
international break afterwards.
not
Yay, more
positive.
USMNT content.
Oh, I guess a little positive.
It can't be positive for us. Anyways, I'm Dylan. That's Grant. Mila is below us. This has been Clash of Clubs. This has been episode 69, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
2 words for him. Different gravy. Glorious goal! Wreathed in red. We're really seeing the most extraordinary finish here. On this day of days, has he delivered? Just magnificent! Potentially life-changing! That's football. Minute you let it under your skin, then you begin to make it